Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
And welcome into Life Planning 101, heard right here, of course, on KATX and KWBY. Blakeney Hodges sitting in just one more week for Mr. Terry Slavens. Don't worry, folks, he'll be back next week. But we are joined, as always, by Miss Angela Robinson, who has the most beautiful earrings on ever.
Oh, too bad everybody can't see them. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm tempted to take a picture and post it on Facebook.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, good morning, Blakeney, and good morning to all of our listeners. We have a great show lined up, as always. It came to my attention last week as I was visiting with a client, and she had some Medicare woes, so to speak, come up. Mm-hmm. And I thought, we have not done a show on Medicare for almost 2 years. So
Probably
I was thinking we need to do this because it is a big deal. And the truth be told is that I would say probably 95% of people don't understand Medicare, even if they're on it.
And it does affect a large population.
It affects a huge population. I mean, you think about all the baby boomers. If you're not on Medicare already, you will be on Medicare. Mm-hmm. And even if you're military and you think, well, I've got TRICARE, it doesn't matter. It's still Medicare.
Yeah.
It's still all the same thing. So, really understanding what your options are, understanding the loopholes, the dangers, the pitfalls. I mean, there is so much with this that, it really is, it's very complicated. Shouldn't it be anything created by the government, right?
It's jump through hoops.
Complicated, right?
Yes. A little bit.
Yeah, so we thought it'd be good just to kind of go over basics, and then I'm going to talk in here specifically about some things that came up last week, particularly around your income and how that affects Medicare, particularly around the drug plans and what your dangers and things can be there. And then I'm also going to talk about, being part of an Advantage plan versus the traditional Medicare system and the advantages or disadvantages. So there's a lot going to be going on in this show, but it's going to be really good. And I think the best place to start is to understand what the basic parts are of Medicare. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you turn 65, you are automatically enrolled in what's called Part A. It's also something that the government pays for you. Now, technically, if we think about that, we are paying for you. So we better put it that way, right? Yeah. But it's not something that you have to pay a monthly premium for, so to speak. And Part A is your inpatient hospitalization coverage, okay? So basically what they're saying is you have an emergency, you need to get to the hospital, we want you to be covered, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your Part A. Part B is like your doctor's office visits or, things that you might have come up that you need some physical therapy for. You sprained your knee or you did this or you did that, right? So that's your Part B coverage. Your Part B coverage is something that you end up paying out of pocket when you turn 65, or if you're on a company healthcare plan and you don't retire until later, whenever that later date is. This is something that you actually have to enroll for, and it's something that you're going to have to pay a premium for. Okay, a lot of people don't even realize this because they do Medicare and Social Security at the same time, and what ends up happening is that Medicare premium gets deducted to the Social Security check, so they don't even realize what they've really set up to do. We're seeing a lot more people have complications though, as the full retirement age for Social Security that used to be 65 is now 66. Okay, so you can actually go on Medicare before you go on full retirement age Social Security. Okay, so now you're going to have to go twice to that Social Security office, right? Yeah. And you're also going to have to pay those out of pocket. A lot of people say, well, why would I want to go on Medicare? Medicare is a really wonderful thing to be able to go on when you're a retiree because, I'll just be honest with you. If you're 50 to 65 years old, your insurance is, unless you got employer-owned insurance, it's probably horrendous. And so Medicare alleviates a lot of that pain. So when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the pitfalls with Part B and how it's actually affected by your income, believe it or not.
Stay tuned to Life Planning 101 on KATX and KWBY. And welcome back in. It's Life Planning 101 right here on KATX KWBY. Got Miss Angela Robinson in studio, and we are talking about Medicare.
Medicare, that's
Medicare.
right. This horrible to understand situation that everybody has, right?
Beneficial, but just a little complicated.
Gosh, it is complicated. So you've got Part A, which we talked about before the break. That's your inpatient hospitalization coverage. You're automatically enrolled at age 65 in that. Part B is for medically necessary coverages outside of inpatient hospital services. You've actually physically got to enroll in that when you go to the Social Security office. Okay, so that's kind of your basic. But what most people don't realize is that Medicare, these two parts of Medicare, don't pay everything. And people think, well, I've got Medicare, it pays everything. Actually, it pays very little, believe it or not.
Does it?
Yes, it does. You're going to have a lot of holes, okay? A whole lot of holes. For instance, you got pretty significant deductibles with every visit that you make, and a lot of it's copay and everything else. So you've got what's called this gap in Medicare, and that's where the insurance companies came in and said, okay, we're going to input something called Medigap insurance, okay? Now it's often called a Medicare supplement, but you got to have it, because if you don't, you're going to go broke in retirement just paying Medicare bills.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, but that's what that supplement's able to help you afford. Okay. And with your supplement, you still don't have everything covered, because then you need a drug plan. And a lot of people say, well, why do I need a drug plan right now? If I'm healthy, I'm not going to be on drugs. Well, there's this funny little thing that Medicare does, and this is on Medicare's end. They impose a penalty for every month past your qualification age. So if it's 65, or if you retire later with benefits, and then you take Medicare. So whenever you're first eligible, okay, for Medicare, they're going to start imposing a penalty for every month you don't have prescription drug coverage. Yes, and this penalty changes. As of right now, it's 1% a month of the average premium, which I wrote this down. The average premium right now is $35.63. Okay, so let's suppose that a 65-year-old says, I'm healthy, I don't need it, they don't think about it, and then at age 75 they start having some health issues, which is very common. Okay, they'd pay 120% penalty on a monthly basis from there on out. So in other words, they're going to pay another full premium amount plus another 20% for the rest of their lives.
It's not a penalty that like you pay off?
No, it's imposed forever. So you don't want to miss that. A lot of people think, well, I'm healthy, why do I need to get my drug plan now? Well, first of all, you can get a really cheap drug plan somewhere around $18 a month. Okay,
I have a question.
Right.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but I have a question. So if you are 65 is whenever you become eligible?
That's right.
Okay, if you're 65 and you're working for an employer who furnishes your health insurance, and there's a drug plan with your health insurance, and you work until 75. So does it have to be a drug plan through them?
No. So if you're still working, this is null and void.
Gotcha.
Okay. If you're still working and you are offered a health insurance through your employer, then you can wait to take Medicare until you fully retire. Okay.
Gotcha.
So, but the moment that you fully retire is when that clock starts ticking. So you better have.
So if you're retired but you don't take Medicare until 5 years after your retirement, and you haven't had a drug plan all that time.
Right. Now you've got lots of penalties.
Man.
I know. You not only your drug plan, but you're going to be penalized for Part B. You've got a lot of stuff.
Common knowledge.
And then the other thing to note about that is, so that Medicare supplement, that gap plan, that is so critical for you to have, especially as you get older, because you have no idea what your health issues are going to be, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't take it up front when your open window happens, that's what they call that when you're first eligible, then you're going to be forced to go through underwriting. Well, let's suppose that, yes, Blakeney, you're the one that says, I don't need insurance, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you've got cancer. You can't make it through underwriting. You can't get the coverage. So you've got to get it either when you turn 65 years old, or you retire with your health care provider, or with your health plan,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
So it's really, really important. That's a very good question. So the other piece to all of this is how it's tied to your income, believe it or not. Okay. And I want to go ahead and say this. So this is traditional Medicare. I'm going to talk about Advantage plans here after the break, but I want to, while we're on this, I want to keep on this. Okay. So your monthly Medicare premiums, so your Part B and your prescription drug coverage, are actually based on what your adjusted gross income is on your tax, or actually your modified adjusted gross income on your tax return. Okay. Not just your income, but what shows up on your tax return. A lot of people do not realize this, so they go in with this budget and retirement thinking, okay, I'm going to be paying the standard premium Part B of $134 a month, and then my drug plan is going to be $18 a month, and this is what it's going to be. Well, they forget that their total income is maybe $300,000 a year. year, which that means that now their premium is not $134 a month. It's $134 a month plus another $214 a month. And then their drug plan is the $18 a month plus $55.20 a month because of where their income falls.
Man.
Right. Okay. So people don't realize that your income plays a major role in this. So, part of our job on the investment side and what we do is to be able to watch these types of things because people think, oh, well, it won't affect me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. A lot of times people say, well, I need to take this big chunk of money out of my IRA. Well, it's not just about the taxes. It's about how it affects your Medicare. It's about how it affects how much your Social Security is taxable. There's so many elements to this, and it's really important to understand the rules because they're going to base your Medicare premiums off of the last 2 years of your income. Okay. Now, here's a little known secret, and I'm going to give you some good tips here that everybody needs to know because I guarantee you that 90% of people do not do this. So let's suppose that you're working right now and you're making $400,000 a year. Okay. So you're in that high bracket where you got to pay a lot of premium, right? Well, when you retire, maybe your income's going to drop to like $150,000 a year. Actually, what shows up on your tax return. That's quite a significant difference, right? Well, in Medicare premium land, that would be, I don't know, the difference between 214 and nothing. So actually 214 plus 55. So we're looking at 270 and nothing. So 270 extra a month, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a little known secret. And this thing is published. This thing I'm looking at right now is published by the Social Security Administration themselves. And you can go pull this up. But the Social Security says that if your income has gone down due to marriage, divorce, becoming widowed, a spouse stopping working or reducing working hours, retirement, losing income, producing property because of a disaster or another event beyond your control. How many times do we see real estate people have that problem? Your spouse experiencing a schedule of secession, termination, or reorganization of the employer's pension plan. We know we got all these pensions out there that are big issues right now. Or you've received a settlement from your employer or former employer because of their closure, bankruptcy, or organization. So there's some loopholes in here to help you get around these massive premiums, and that's worth a lot to you. If you're looking at $250 a month, I think I can come up with something to do with $250.
Yeah, especially on a fixed income, which once you retire, it is a fixed income.
No matter how you look at it,
no matter how much money you're dipping out of, it's still a fixed income.
You have a fixed amount of bucket that's going to be there, and that's it.
And that's it.
Yep. So very good. Yes. So this is a little known fact, and the reason this came to my attention is this was one of the woes that I came up against last week. We had a client in the office, and she's going through a settlement right now. And she says, what do we do? I've got all this income coming in, and I know this is going to boost my Medicare premiums. And for her, yes, it was going to boost it about $200 a month. That's a huge amount.
It's a big bill to take on.
It's a big amount to take on. So people don't understand what that is or why it exists, but there it is. That's what it's all about. And it's really, really important that people do understand that, okay? Because it's a huge part of this. A lot of people says, well, I'm on Medicare now and my health expenses are nil. Well, they're really not, because you're paying Part B, which is, around $134 plus a month, okay? You've got a prescription drug plan, which is, just whatever you want to call it. So say between B and your prescription drug, there's $200 a month, and then you find a supplement out there that's another $100 a month. So you're over $300 a month just if you're on that lower income level. So that can eat you up pretty quick, right? And people don't realize what that's all about. So when we come back, what I want to touch on is the Advantage plan, because a lot of people don't understand what the difference is between traditional Medicare and an Advantage plan. There's goods and there's bads. And then the things that Medicare or supplements or Advantage plans do not cover that you have to know.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. It's Life Planning 101 right here on KATX and KWBY. And we're back right here on Life Planning 101. I have Angela Robinson in the house, and we are talking about Medicare.
We're talking about Medicare, and believe it or not, so I flipped this over and I totally forgot. We are at our 100th episode since we have been back with Life Planning 101.
100.
100, that's right. So we are going to do some episode trivia and do a $5,000 life plan giveaway.
Whoa.
I know. So first answer to get it. So you better get to typing. I'm giving you the warning ahead of time, right? So have everything out, but we'll do this right at the end of the show, so you don't want to miss it, okay? But while you're at it, go ahead and tweet us at KFS Life Planning and answer our weekly poll. Are you nervous about getting Medicare and Social Security right? Yes or no? Are you nervous about it?
I'm sure there'll be a lot of yeses.
I'm sure there will be a lot of yeses. But that's why I have a job. So this is good, right? Keeps me in a job. The government keeps me in a job, which is interesting. Anyway, it is a great show because we are talking about all of these important aspects of Medicare. We've went through Part A, Part B pretty substantially, talked about the drug plans, the Medicare supplement policy. I do want to, again, touch on how important that is because that just fills in all the gaps, right? And you think about all these co-insurance, all the deductibles. For instance, if you get hospitalized, do you know how much Part A will pay for you to be able to have a private room if that's what you want?
I want to guess like 80%. I feel like that's
zero.
Oh no.
Yep.
No,
So
no.
they're going to put you where they want to put you, right? So those types of things, just having access to that is what that supplement's all about. And a lot of people say, well, that's really expensive. It's not. If you do it during your open enrollment, there's not underwriting, and you're looking around the 100 and somethings a month, right?
Yeah.
The big thing is making sure you go with a quality carrier, because as soon as you aren't underwritable anymore, guess what? You're stuck with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to make sure you're not with a carrier that's jumping around in price all the time and things like that. So those are really, really important. We see people with a lot of bad supplement plans that they're kind of stuck with it and they're stuck with escalating premiums. And you don't want to be with that. So so be very conscientious of that. That's where we come into play. We always, work with our clients. We say we want to work with everything and we want to be on that Medicare plan. And it's not because we make a boatload off of $100 premium. It's because if we aren't the agent on that, we can't help them. And that's the big piece of all of it. So it's really important with that. Now, what about these Advantage plans, right? Because Advantage plans are kind of what you're probably accustomed to if you are already working for a company, that you have a PPO, a preferred organization, where you have to go in this group of doctors and pick out from there. You have a copay, yada, yada. Every time you go in, you could pay your $30 to see the doctor, right? You're accustomed to these types of things. Well, an Advantage plan is a lot like that. And there's several different types of Advantage plans, but it's virtually the same thing. So is that good? It's good from the respect that you're accustomed to it. It's good from the respect that they cost less, because you're paying more out of pocket, right? So obviously they cost less. And a lot of people get sold on the fact that they cost less. In fact, my mother and father-in-law, I was hearing a story from them, and they were one of those people that, well, this is going to save us over, $50 a month or $100 a month between the two of us. That's quite a bit of money. Well, it is until you become unhealthy. And that's what people don't think about. Because once you become unhealthy, how many out-of-pocket expenses can you stomach? How much can you afford to pay in co-insurance? And that's where you're kind of left hanging with an Advantage plan that people don't realize. So, they're good till you're not healthy. That's my ultimate opinion on them. The second thing is where do you live? For example, if you live in Abilene, one hospital accepts it, one hospital doesn't. How are you going to make sure you're not transported to the wrong hospital? We actually had a client that experienced that. They transported them to the wrong hospital. They were stuck. They couldn't get the paperwork figured out between the transfers. And because of that, they ended up paying a significant amount out of pocket because they couldn't get it done. So, don't just get sold on cost alone here. If you live in a rural area, especially where we are at, most likely an Advantage plan is not going to be your fit, because if to get anything done, you're going to be driving to the Metroplex. And what if it's an emergency and you got to get transported from one hospital to the next? Are they going to make sure and do it right? So it's really important that you kind of have that game plan out and you know what to expect there. Okay. So let's talk about some things that Medicare doesn't cover, because I think this is what do you want to say? The hole in the cheese, right? So that we all don't know about. So we already mentioned one. If you're wanting a private room, you're out of luck. Let's suppose that you go into a hospital and you're in there for 5 days as an inpatient, and you have to go out and you have to be in some skilled nursing for a while. Okay. Well, here's one of the things that Medicare is not going to cover at all. So if it's custodial care only, meaning that you just still don't feel strong and you're not up to being able to get yourself dressed and take your pills and this and that, they cover zero. Really?
Man.
Yes. Okay. Other than that, they'll cover the first 20 days at zero cost. They cover days 21 to day 100 with your co-insurance of $164 a day. Okay, so think about where that Medicare supplement picks in, right there. There's a huge cost that people don't realize, right? So you got to pick that up. So if you have to be in some type of skilled nursing for rehab or for whatever reason, right, you want to be able to have that supplement in place, because otherwise you're paying $164 a day of co-insurance. Can you imagine that?
Staying at the Hilton.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And just imagine being in there for 79 days.
Yeah.
That's a huge cost, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to be able to realize what that is. And then beyond 100 days of skilled nursing, they pay zero. Nobody pays anything, okay? And that's where we talk about the fact of long-term care and how really important that is, right? Because if you're only, moving in there for a rehabilitation thing, that's fine. But, you take, and I'll give you an example, my grandmother, okay? So she had a nasty fall, and yet she recovered, and actually mentally she's doing very well, but she cannot live on her own anymore. And she is no longer has her husband there. So we virtually have two options. She could live with us, or she could live in a skilled nursing facility. So Medicare is not going to pay for that. Okay. And a lot of people say, well, the government will pay for it, right? Well, they will if you go on Medicaid. Okay. And Medicaid is very different from Medicare. Medicare is the healthcare system. Medicaid is welfare. Okay. Medicaid, you have to be broke to get on it. And I think they limit you to something like $2,000 a month of income is it. And then you have very little in assets. It's different if you have a surviving spouse or not. They'll let you keep the surviving spouse's home and all of that. But don't be fooled that as soon as you pass and that surviving spouse passes, guess what they take? They take the assets to reimburse themselves. And, in our state, we live in a very friendly state as of now. There are a lot of states out there that are what are called filial states. New Mexico is one of those. Montana is one of those. I'm very familiar because that's where my relatives are, right? Yeah. And what that means is that they have legal ability to come after the heirs, the next generation, the children, for Medicaid recovery. And I'm telling you, I think we're all going that way. And the reason I think we're all going that way is because you have thousands and thousands of boomers. In fact, 10,000 a day turning 65. Okay. Man. So, and how many of them have proper coverage? And how many of them will be in a nursing home? Yeah. Well, there's about 80, or not a nursing home, but in type of skilled facility, right? Whether it's home health care or nursing home or whatever, there's an 80% chance that each one of them will. So think about that. And how are the states going to keep that up? How are they going to pay for it? It's impossible. Yeah. So it's going to be a filial law. It's already a filial law in several states. I hate to say this on the radio show because I don't remember the exact number, but it's around 19 states right now. So I believe this is going to be caught on and passed. There's actually been a couple court cases already where they've pushed it through and taken assets. So
I would be surprised if it didn't. I mean, because like you say, with those numbers,
where are they going to get it? Right? It's an impossibility. So, sometimes we tell the parents, they say, well, we don't want to pay for this because we can't afford it or we can't do this. And when we say, well, it's up to you completely. You can drain down your assets, but I would really ask your children if they want to pay for it, because
it's probably going to happen.
In reality, they may want to pay for the insurance to make sure that you have it to protect an inheritance. Yes. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, or protect their own retirements. Yeah. Think about that. So, it's taken it to a whole new level of needs-based, right? And, it's either one or the other. It's either the government controls us all and we're all on a system like Medicare Part B where we're having to pay based on our incomes and it's going to be paid off that way, or they're going to be able to want to reclaim the assets in some form or capability. So you got to think of it both ways, right? It's really scary. So anyway, I didn't mean to end on a horrible note.
We're not going to. We're going to end on the big 100th episode celebration.
Yes, we are going to end on the 100th episode celebration. So great information on Medicare. We are going to have a full newsletter on this week. So make sure you sign up at kennedy-financial.com to our weekly life lessons and be able to see some information on this. And don't hesitate to call us with your questions, because this is a complicated process and this is what we do. This is why we do what we do, because we understand that, if you're trying to do this job alone, you could hurt yourself severely. We had an 80-year-old lady that was the mother of one of our clients, and she had never signed up for a drug plan. Okay. All right. So just imagine the penalty amount on that. It was over 170% for her. Okay.
It's what you don't know that you don't know.
Yes, that will hurt you.
That's right. That fits perfectly in that scenario.
That is exactly right. With that, my name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services here in Eastland, Texas. God bless and have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Advisory services offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Calton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.